do not understand what I do. For what I want to do, I don't do. Did you guys get everything done on your to-do list this week? Did you do everything the way that you want? I mean, all of us, we look back and go, what was I doing? The very things that I want to do, I do not do. But what I hate, I do. What is wrong with me? I mean, this is the part where all of us are kind of nodding our head in the same direction, right? Where we're going, I can't disagree. There's a lot of things about the Bible that you can't understand. Floods and miracles and creation and all that kind of thing. Like, I don't know, man, end of times, rapture, all that stuff. We go, man, I don't know if I get that about the Bible. But this we can get, right? I mean, this is the part that we have a difficult time disagreeing with about the Bible because we just know it is true. I don't understand what I do. What I want to do, the things that I most want to do with my life, the things that I most want to be, I just cannot do. I mean, we wouldn't need Tony up here talking about the whole pornography thing if we all just did what we wanted to do, right? The things that I hate, I do. And he as if that's not enough, he goes on. He says, here's what I know about myself. He says, I have this desire to do what's good. And I think probably we all have to agree with that about ourselves. We all have this. You guys are all here this morning because you have a desire to do what's good. You have a desire to do what's good by your family, by your kids, by your wife, at your work, and all those things that we're involved in. We have a desire to do what is good. Here is the problem. But I cannot carry it out. Isn't that the problem? I want to do what's right. I want to do what's good, but I just cannot seem to get it figured out. I cannot carry it out. For I do not do the good that I want to do, but the evil that I don't want to do, that's what I keep on doing. And that's what's wrong with you. Isn't it? I mean, that is what is wrong with me. That's what's wrong with all of us. We want to do good stuff. We start out the beginning of a year. We start out the beginning of a month. We start out the beginning of a week. We start out the beginning of a project. We start out the beginning of all kinds of things going, this time. This is going to be the time, right? This is going to be the year. This is going to be the moment. This time I am going to get this right. And then at the end of it, we're standing there with our hands in our pockets, scratching our head going, what happened? What is wrong with me? And it is in that we find our greatest frustration. I mean, really, this is if we could get this problem solved, it would solve it would solve every problem we're having. Right? I mean, you just name it. Marital problems, problems with your kids, problems at work. If we could solve this problem, it would solve every other problem. The thing is, we know what's right, we know what's good, we know what we ought to do, and here's the real deal. Nobody has to tell us this, right? I mean, we don't even have to come to church to know this. You guys didn't need to show up this morning and have me tell you this. Don't go anywhere, okay? I mean, we don't need the pastor to show up and tell us. If we just did what we knew to do, we would be fine. Isn't that right? Yeah. And essentially what we come here for is because we want somebody to go, okay, tell me what it is I'm supposed to do again that I already know to do, but just give me some motivation, stir me up, inspire me enough to finally go and do the very thing that I know that I need to do. Here's the things. We know we don't need the pastor to tell us that we should love our wife more. Is anybody really going, really? I didn't know that. Thank you so much for telling me that. Do I really need to say to us, do better by your kids? And you're going, oh, dude, this is gold. Let me write this down. I had no idea I was supposed to be doing that, I really should exercise and eat better. Really? Is that the way you lose weight? Holy cow, I never knew that. Thank you. I'm going to put that on my refrigerator so that I can remember those truths. I mean, we know this stuff, right? This is not rocket science. The thing is, we know we just can't do it. Why can't we do what we know to do? That is messed up. Isn't it? That is messed up. I mean, it's right there, and we can't do it. Here's the thing that I've come to believe. This is the only problem that we have. This is the only problem that we really have. I mean, think about this. Again, I said it earlier. If we solved this problem, we'd solve every problem, wouldn't we? I mean, if I could figure this out, I mean, first of all, my wife and kids would be throwing Gatorade on me. They'd be like, you're awesome. If we could figure this out, it would solve every problem we have. It would solve our financial problems, because our financial problems are nothing more than a result of this. We know what to do. We know how disciplined we ought to be. We just can't keep ourselves from buying that. Right? Solve our marital problems. We know what we ought to do. If we would just go and do it, we'd be fine. This would solve every problem, or at least take out the problem that takes any difficulty that comes our way and turns that difficulty into a moment of disaster instead of a moment of rejoicing. Because see, when we get this right and difficulty comes our way, if we can get this right when difficulty shows up, difficulty doesn't turn into disaster, it turns into victory, right? If we can get this right. This really is our only problem. So the good news is, if we're going to solve it, we got to diagnose this and understand what it is that causes this so that we can get over it. And the good news is the Apostle Paul does that for us. He helps us with this. In Romans 7:20 he says, now, if I do what I don't want to do, and I go, okay, that's me. I do the things I don't want to do all the time. Here's his diagnosis. It's no longer I who do it, who does it. Maybe this isn't my only problem. Maybe this is. All right. Okay, this and grammar. Those two problems. I have those two. If I do what I don't want to do, and I go, okay, I fit the category. I'm a guy who does what he doesn't want to do. It's no longer I who does it, but it is the sin living in me that does it. And I go, oh, thank you. I knew this wasn't my fault. I knew. This had to be somebody else's fault. We were born into sin. You see it in your kids, right? I mean, nobody teaches them to lie like that. Nobody teaches them to be selfish like that. They just grow up and they just are, man. They're born into sin. We are all born into this condition of sin, right? We do this so naturally, we got to get a medal for it. It's what we are born with. We cannot escape it. We begin to understand that the sin he's talking about here is not sin the verb, okay? Because we spend a lot of time working on sin the verb. The sins that I do, the things that I commit, the lies that I tell, the stuff that I do that I don't want to do. He's not talking about sin the verb. He's talking about sin the noun. Sin the disease. Sin the condition, right, that we all have. He says this sin, this disease is living in me, and it is controlling my brain. It is controlling my body. It is the thing that causes me to do things that I don't want to do. Here's the hard truth, though, fellas. It may not be our fault, but it is our responsibility to deal with it, right? I mean, we just can't go, well, it's sin in me, honey. You're just going to have to get used to it. Sorry. It may not be our fault that we live in this condition of sin. We can look back and blame Adam all day long for eating that fruit that his wife gave to him, right? We can blame him all day long, but it is still the truth of our life that we got to deal with. It's still our responsibility to deal with it. We feel that. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? How do we fix this thing? I mean, if it's the only problem that we have, how do we fix it? There's two ways to do it. Okay, one way to do it is to try hard. Work at it. And I know all of us guys, something in the room, and I just go, cool, because I know how to do that. I know how to work hard at stuff. I may not be able to do everything, but I can work hard at stuff. I can put my mind to something. I can set my jaw. I can fix my will. I can work hard It's something I can set a goal. I can be disciplined. I can lick this thing. I've accomplished all kinds of things in my life. I've overcome all kinds of stuff. I can nail this too. I will try hard. And let me tell you, we should do all of that. Problem is, at the end of the day, we still have the disease. Right? And we still have that thing beating in us that causes us to do the things that we don't want to do. And we know what's going to happen. Eventually, with all of our trying, with all of our discipline, with all of our struggle, we are eventually going to mess up. And we're going to fall short, and then we're going to feel bad. And we're going to be frustrated. Has that been anybody else's experience other than me? I see what I need to do. I see what I need to fix, and I try hard. I make a New Year's resolution. I make a new commitment. I get with a bunch of guys, and we have accountability. I get into a Bible study. I start coming to church. And eventually what happens is the heat comes down, my guard comes down, I mess up again, and I'm frustrated. I want to quit. See, many of us think that try hard, fall short, feel bad is the crux of discipleship. That's what following Jesus is all about. Try hard, fall short, feel bad. And we get the idea that that's discipleship. Discipleship is looking at Jesus, seeing what he is, and trying really hard to be like that, knowing that I'm going to fall short, and then I'll end up feeling bad. And I believe that's why we tend to stay away from places of commitment in the church. We tend to keep our church and our spiritual life kind of at arm's length because we know that eventually, for all of my trying to be the right kind of guy, eventually I'm going to fall short. I'm going to disappoint myself. I'm going to disappoint others. I'm going to be what others thought I wasn't. And I'm going to feel so bad, and I don't want to feel bad. So I'm going to stay far enough away so that they only see me trying hard, but they never see me falling short, so that I can minimize how bad I feel. Again, is this anybody else's experience except mine? I mean, we think that this is discipleship, and it's just not it. Please, somebody tell me there's another option. Because I don't want to live my life like that. I mean, I'm enough of an introvert, I'd rather just go crawl in a hole than run that cycle in front of everybody all the time. I just really would. And you probably would too. Paul says this about this condition. What a wretched man I am. He wasn't talking about being wretched because he said, oh, you know, my wife wanted me to take out the trash and I didn't. Oh, wretched man. You know. Oh, I was supposed to feed the dog this morning. Oh, I forgot. Oh, wretched man. I mean, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, I try to keep my eyes from things they shouldn't have seen, and I cannot pull myself away. What is wrong with me? Wretched man. I said I would never yell at my kids again. But man, here I am one more time with my voice up here and my nostrils flaring, pointing my finger in one of my kids' face. What am I doing? Wretched man. Who will rescue me from this body of death? And then he says this, thanks be to God who delivers me through Jesus Christ. And I go, yeah. I believe in Jesus and I'm still wretched. What's up with that? And I come to church and I'm still wretched. Come on. I mean, I've said to Jesus, come on, fix me here, and I'm still this guy. I mean, what is the answer? You see, the answer is whenever we find ourselves in a place where we cannot do something we know we need to do, we are required, this will be news to men, we are required to get help from somebody else. Okay, let me say it one more time. See, for us guys, other people do this normally, but for us guys, this is probably a new thought to us, that whenever we come across something that we cannot do on our own, you can do this thing where you go to somebody else who can do that and ask them for help. No, seriously, we can do that. It's like a thing that other people do. It's amazing, right? Yeah, I know. It's news to me too, right? If you can't do something on your own, We go to somebody who can do it, and we get help. See, I hate to, I'm ashamed